Good morning and happy Thursday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Change. This is live and recorded. For those of you that might be new here, what we typically do is go over crypto news and news in general in the space. I update myself, bring you guys along for the ride. I'm going to apologize in advance. My throat's a little iffy today, so my voice is kind of going in and out. We're going to have to see how this goes. All right, let's see who's in the house that will get into this. Mr. 10 minutes to midnight. Good to see you, buddy. We got Andrew Masad, Black Hat Team. Perfect. Zarkov, good to see you. Let's see. Ava, good morning. Dan R, good to see you, buddy. Miss Deborah in the house, good to see you. Let's see, anybody else? Steven Cicero, DJ Mines, my man, good to see you, buddy. Dom G, son of a rabbit. Everybody else I may have missed, I apologize. Let's get into it. Bitcoin over 100k, blasted right back from that dip. Did anybody buy in? Let me know in the live chat if you guys bought in on the pullback. Ethereum 39.25. We have XRP at $2.41. Solana 230 bucks. As you can see right here, we got Sui up 25%. Holy shit, I got some of this the other day. Nice. $4.72. Hell yeah. Litecoin 121 bucks. A duke into that. That's amazing. Everything looks great today. ADA $1.13. We got AVAX at 49.73. Let's see, Aptos over here, I believe this is $13.71. Caspa is at 17 cents just about. Jeez, hell yeah, amazing, man. Everything's deep green today. Link 20% up, almost 21% up, $27.80. We have Aave over here up to $365, up 30%. Uniswap's up 18%, $18.59. Dogecoin 41 cents over here. Shiba and Pepe are still up a couple percent today. That's good. Nice. Everything looks good. Everything looks amazing. Jumping on the crypto bubbles over here. See what the biggest earner of the day is. Looks like Aave. Aave up 30.5%. Again, 365 bucks. We just saw that over there on Coin 360. Excuse me. All right, let's see. Anything else? Sui again 25% up on the day. That's awesome. Hell yeah. Let's see the let's go with the last week. Actually, the biggest earner in the last week in the top 100 coins is 76.4% up on BitGet token over here to $3.31. Wow, nice. Look at that. Is anybody into that? And did anybody get into Link? That's kind of one thing I want to know. Let's see. Little time mining, jellyfish. Yeah. Yeah, I actually sold out of that last night. Made like 4x my money. I was like, hell yeah, I'm out. See ya. Maybe I'll buy back in later, but hell no, I ain't holding it. Ain't holding nothing. I'm done holding these meme coins. All right, not for me. No Link for me, says Dan R. Nice, interesting. Yeah, this I don't know. I don't have any Link either. I wish I did, but I do not. Sui I just got into again, like I said the other day. Let's see, this is over the past week as well. 20% up on the last week. Mantle $1.30. Go back to the day. Literally everything is up except for this XDC over here. XDC network is down a bit. It's ranked 99th. It's at 8 cents, almost 9 cents. Not too bad. All right, flashbang, here we go. Fear and Greed Index is at an 83. Bruh. That's kind of high. That's an extreme jump. It jumped pretty high from 74 to 83. Again, the faster we climb, the faster we fall on this needle. So I don't know, is this the beginning of the Santa rally, or is this going to be a quick little fake out back up and then liquidate some more longs? I'm wondering what's going to come of this, to be honest. All right, top 10 coins by coin market cap over on CoinGecko, starting with Bitcoin at a $1.98 trillion market cap. We got Ethereum, Tether, XRP, Solana, BNB, Dogecoin, USDC, Cardano, and Lido staked Ether at a $38.5 billion market cap. I like to see Cardano still holding 9th place. That's perfect at a 40. Really good. Dogecoin. Do you guys think it's realistic for Dogecoin to double in price and market cap? Obviously, for the price to double, you got to have a higher market cap, right? So be about 120 billion instead of 60, where it's at now. That would be flipping BNB, flipping Solana. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously these will probably rise at the same time, but I just don't know. It's gonna be really hard for Dogecoin to do that, I feel like. But I'm shocked it's been holding up here. I guess we're gonna have to see. $1 is possible. Yeah, I thought so last time. It's really hard to get crazy market caps. I don't know. I guess it's really not, because we've seen XRP's market cap like doubled in like a day. It was crazy. So I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll have to see what happens. I guess we'll have to see. I have a decent bag of Doge. I'm just gonna hold it long term and see what happens. Sui man's been killing it. Insane. $4.72. $13 billion market cap, ranked 18th. That's sick. Where's Caspa at in the chart? Caspa, where we at? 45th place. Damn, this in 45th place. That's at a $4.2 billion market cap. God damn. 17 cents. That's crazy. I can't believe it's that high up. Interesting. This Fetch AI, or used to be Fetch AI, it's artificial super intelligence now, which is a ridiculous name. $4.7 billion market cap, $1.83. Do you guys have any of this? I kind of always thought about getting into it, but I never did. Never did. Ethereum Classic, I get a decent amount of $5 billion market cap. I hope Ethereum Classic does well this bull run. The last bull run, this thing got to 167 bucks. It's still down about 80%. And in my opinion, 80% coins that are down, still a pretty decent time to buy. But you guys do what you want. I don't care. I already have some. I've been mining it, right? So it's just kind of one of those coins that will always be in my portfolio. All right, let's jump into the mining segment of things, so I don't have to talk too much anymore. Over here we got, you guys know, like to timestamp this stuff, see where we're at, you know, a couple months from now with these machines. AL1 Pro 16.6 terahash unit over here making $57.83 a day. Lithium back on the top of the charts on the ASIC miners. Nice. But for how long? That's my question. 6.6. Oh Jesus, I don't know how I did that. What the hell? All right, 6.6% up on the day, $2.41. Nice. Over the 24 hours, down under the 7-day. It peaked a couple days ago, the 9th, December 9th, $2.89. I just hope it continues to climb up. I really do, because it's still down over the year. And yeah, it's I mean, you know what, it's really not gonna, I don't think it's hard for it to blow past its all-time high, just because the market cap's still stupid low, right? So it's only 227 million. It's easy to 5x 227 million to get to a billion versus, you know, being at a billion already and trying to double that, triple that. So who knows? I guess we'll have to see. The AL1 over here, 15.6 terahash unit, making 54.33 a day. Let's see. I'm just gonna skip the hydro unit today. AL3, 15 terahash unit, making 51.95. Nice. That's sick. We got the Antminer L9 over here, 17 gigahashes, making 49.61. We got the 16 gigahash unit making 46.69. Looking pretty good. The X44P Jazz Miner, interesting, 23.4 gigahashes. Ethereum Classic making 41.56. That's awesome. That is awesome. Let's see, my L7, my 9050 down at Terra Hosting. Shout out to them if you guys are interested in hosting. Links in the description. And if you're interested in ASICs, go check out Terra Hashes down in the description as well. Use code CCXD. You'll get you some money off your ASICs if you're interested in them. But right now, buy the coin. That's my opinion. 9050, $22.75 a day. I'll take it. I'll take it any day. Any day. That's amazing. The EAL1M. Did anybody get one of these 4.4 terahash units over at Gold Shell? 1800 watts, $13.38 a day. Did anybody get that? I got one of these, the Gold Shell EDG1M, 3.4 gigahashes. I gotta put this in my garage today, actually. $7.31 at 10 cents per kilowatt hour. Actually, you know what, hold on, actually I'm gonna go back to that. I'm gonna go into this. I want to see how bad I'm gonna lose out on this thing. I think my rate's 28 cents. I always just say it's close to 30. Oh, I'll still be making 25 cents. All right, I'll suck it up. I'll run this thing in the house. I'll suck it up. Make it, you know what, it's not making much, but I ain't losing. All right. Like when I'm losing, then I don't want to be mining. All right, it just kind of, it gets you in that mood where it's like, why am I doing this? There's no point. There's no point. I'd rather just buy the coin with the money that I could just spend on the electric. But yeah, if I was actually at 30 cents, I think I mean, I'm around 28. I know that. Or at least it was, unless they changed. I don't know. I just pay the bill. Doesn't matter. The profit would be negative 61 cents. So yeah, that would suck. But yeah, I'm around 28. Last time I checked. I should probably check again. All right, let's jump on the GPUs. See if there's anything over here exciting. Aleo on the 40 series cards seems to be top of the charts. Someone asked about Aleo ASICs last night in Hawks stream, which is kind of interesting. A Leo ASIC, is that a thing? Is that gonna happen, you think? Is that gonna happen? It provides some heat in the base, but yeah, Dan R, that's like the only other, like, you know, positive about it, right? In the winter it's fine, but I'm just saying, like, in general, to run things here during like summertime, there's no point, you know what I mean? Because you're not even getting the heat benefit. Like, you got to get that shit out of the house. You know what I mean? So there's no point. Buy the rumor, sell the news. Yeah, it's Zarkov. It's yeah, I don't know. I think Elysium shouldn't have came out with ASICs. That's just my opinion right away when they did. I think they should have they should have let things climb a bit more and then let the ASICs come out, because it kind of, I don't know, it kind of messed up things for a little bit, it seemed like. So I'm hoping it comes back. I hope that doesn't happen with Leo, because we need something to frickin' mine, right? You guys need something to mine in your GPUs. Leo, I mean, there's always going to be something else, but it's a pain in the ass. It's freaking annoying jumping back and forth. That's kind of why I stopped the GPU thing. $1.63. Let's see, a month. It's up over a month, or pretty close to up. 3 months, it's really taking a shit. So I mean, yeah, I don't know, something's gonna have to save this. I guess we're gonna have to see, but people sold out of it real fast, so is what it is. All right, let's check out CPUs quick. CPUs, Darrow over here. What's QRL? What the hell is this? QRL, what is that? Quantum RL, what is that? CPU coin? Oh, it is on here. Look at that. Quantum resistant ledger. I can speak. Quantum resistant ledger. What in the hell? 66 cents. What is this? Anybody mining this? They're just trying to ting all the buzzwords on this one. It's up. It's up over the last year. Had a spike up. 92 cents. Interesting. Pump and dump. Yeah, I don't know. Jesus. December 2nd. God damn. Went from 30 cents and woke up with a boner at 90. Like, that's crazy. What in the hell? Who the hell bought that and then sold right out when some people bought the top? That's crazy. That's crazy. Why is it spiking like this? Who's the whale? Someone's pushing that. That's, I don't know, that's kind of sketchy. That's weird. I don't like charts like that. I mean, someone's up to no good. All right, moving on. Let's get into the news segment of things. I want to cover some stuff here. Mr. Funstrats Tom Lee was over on CNBC yesterday. What to expect from the markets in 2025. Let's do it.
Let's welcome in Tom Lee now. Funstrats head of research and a CNBC contributor with us, as you see, at Post 9. Welcome. It's good to see you.
Great to see you.
Let's hit tech first. Should we be surprised at this resurgence, this melt-up? And it's maybe caught some people by surprise.
I think investors should realize 2024 has been a year of surprising strength. The market has avoided so many opportunities for weakness, and now we're entering the final weeks of the year where we know there's still $7 trillion of cash on the sidelines and quite good visibility next year. So I think stocks should finish very strong.
Why do you think money is going to the mega caps now in the manner that it is? Up 1.75% today, the Nasdaq up almost 4% over a month, and able to achieve this milestone.
One reason is mega caps have been leading, so it's sort of what people reach into the shelf when they're risk on. But second, we know that when interest rates fall, the mega caps actually are very sensitive to that. And I think today was a day where the odds of a December cut increased. You know, the probabilities are now solidified, and that's actually bullish for tech.
Because the CPI
I think there's a meeting, what, next week?
Was, you know, some would say sticky, but it was largely in line. Is that how you read it?
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's allowing, the CPI print today allows people to imagine a path to 2% because shelter now is cooling to a level that's in line. Auto insurance, which was at 25% earlier this year over year, is now down to 13%. So the two biggest contributors to CPI are in a downshift. I don't think the fact that used cars are going up is going to reverse the Fed's view. I don't think the Fed's going to tighten because used car prices are up.
All right, so Fed's cutting next week. That's
Yes.
your base case?
Yes.
And then what happens after that? All bets are off? Wait and see? What do you think?
I think the Fed put remains in play because neutral is, let's say, 2.5% to 3%. We're at 4.5 after the December cut. So we know the Fed's in a cutting cycle. I actually think the best case is for the Fed to do the fewest number of cuts next year.
That means the economy is pretty strong.
That's right. It's strong. They're not harming the economy by keeping rates here. And the labor market is holding up, and now we have a lot of firepower for future cuts, which support stocks.
Okay, you talk about a Fed put. You also talk about another put, and that's a Trump put.
Yes.
He's going to be here tomorrow, by the way, ringing the opening bell. People are excited about that. down here for sure.
Well, that's today.
But you say that that is a substantial part of your outlook for the new year. The Trump put, explain.
The Trump put is, on the simplest level, it is a White House that is going to measure its success by how the stock market performs. But it's also...
That's kind of odd that they like announced that, isn't it? That he was going to be there. He's going to roll up with like 1,000 security guards.
So a president that's coming into a second term.
Oh, Mr. Crypto for Seniors, thank you for becoming a VIP, dude. You're awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you.
But with a lot of previous experience. So this is a cabinet that has good private sector acceptance, and I think very markets friendly. Overall, I think investors who might have been cautious for the last few years now want to be risk on next year.
All right, so your outlook to me is interesting, the way you sort of game out where the S&P can go. Because you say we're going to 7,000 by mid-year, which sounds amazing because most targets that I've seen are 7,000 at the top end for the entire year. Your full year forecast, though, is 6,600. Why?
Part of it's cyclical. We're coming off two back-to-back 20% years, and there are 5 precedents to look at. 5 of the 5 precedents since 1880 had a weaker second half. So I'd say that's the base case. The reason I think markets do better in the first half is that there is going to be a lot of enthusiasm about a new White House, some of the headlines that come, whether it's deregulation, et cetera. And we know there's still a ton of cash and a lot of low leverage on the sidelines. That's why stocks can rally. And by the way, 11% in a few months, we've seen that routinely the last couple of years. But in the second half, I think markets start to worry about the larger macro risks like the Middle East, the potential risks of tariff and executing that, and potentially the fact that Doge could be so successful that it could slow the economy.
You're worried about being too efficient, cutting too much, and what the impact is going to be?
Yes.
What the hell? They just cut him off? That's fucked up. I was just getting into it. All right, Anthony Pompliano, Bitcoin is winning and Microsoft doesn't matter. The only tech company that's not interested in tech.
But first, big decision, you guys, from Microsoft shareholders rejecting a plan to invest up to 5% of their profits into Bitcoin. The proposal said that it would hedge against inflation and mark a bold step into crypto. But the vote reveals still skepticism toward the digital currency revolution. Here to weigh in on all of this, Anthony Pompliano, Professional Capital Management founder and CEO. How much of a setback, if any, is this for Bitcoin?
This doesn't matter at all. If you think about the odds that this was ever going to get approved, it was near zero.
And why?
Well, sometimes the Bitcoin community, we like to yell and scream about things because it's fun. It sounds good. Like, imagine if Microsoft does this. Yeah. But the odds that a $1 trillion+ company is going to actually go and do this, they don't need to do it because they've got a great business. And so if you look at most of the companies who've been adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet, they're actually companies that weren't working, right? This was kind of like a Hail Mary for them, and it is working for them. And so if you look at kind of the comparison, what you actually have is the innovator's dilemma. If you've got a great business, why rock the boat? Microsoft's got a good thing going, right? They're big in AI, their stock price is going up, et cetera. It's the companies that are saying, hey, I need to pull a lever here to try to get something done. Those are the ones who
we talked about Rumble the other day.
I was going to say MicroStrategy.
Well, MicroStrategy is the obvious one, but I think you've got some of these guys. I can't believe I'm defending Bitcoin to the Bitcoin guy here.
It's all you.
But I'm saying they're saying we don't need to do it. But if this is as much the future as people are saying, we better get on that train. 5% of your profits, not a huge investment to dabble in that space. Shouldn't a company like Microsoft be doing this?
Yeah. Well, I definitely think they should do it, and I think that at some point they will do it. It's just that who are the first ones to adopt stuff? It's the same thing with nation states putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. You see the El Salvadors, the Bhutans, right? These small countries who don't really have a lot to risk, and there's such asymmetric upside. Now, what I will say is that is starting to change. So there are companies like Hut 8 and others that are in the Bitcoin world that have good businesses that are putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet as well. And so those are kind of Bitcoin-related companies. Now what we need to see are good companies that have good cash flow that are not related to Bitcoin to start to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And I think that'll be the big, kind of explosion of public companies.
I wonder if Amazon could be that next, because reading reports that they might consider making the move, right? And that would be pretty big. So going back to your point, Brian, makes me wonder why maybe Microsoft is missing out, might be late to the game.
Well, there is a Bitcoiner who is behind all of these Amazon shareholder, Microsoft shareholder proposals. He's very good at doing it. He's obviously getting on the schedule. The question is just going to become, at what point do one of these companies say, fine, you guys are right, let's go ahead and do
let me
it.
stay on this, because if you're
Talking about Sailor, I assume.
playing in the crypto space nowadays, apparently you might be at a higher likelihood of getting debanked. That's what Mark Andreessen is saying. How do you is that as big of a deal as we're hearing? It seems like in Silicon Valley that's happening a lot.
There's two stories here, right? One is the actual debanking, taking somebody's bank account away from them. And this is not just a U.S. problem. We saw in Canada they did this to the truckers, but in the United States they're doing it to tech founders, people involved in Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, et cetera. I actually think the bigger problem is we should stop debanking people. But the second thing is that I cannot tell you, just our team alone, how many hours have been wasted with various banks fighting to not get debanked. So even though
For
we
your
actually
team.
didn't, our
For
team
your business.
has spent enormous amount of time and effort, emails, calls, meetings, etc., fighting to not get our bank accounts taken away.
What's
having
the
them.
why behind why they are?
Well, look, if you're a bank, you're very risk averse, right? And so if you think that somebody or a business is involved in any shape or form with crypto, then you are less likely to bank them. And so whether they are trying to take away bank accounts or, again, not open a bank account, it's a massive problem. And so imagine how much time, energy, and productivity of American businesses has been wasted on this problem over the last 5 or 6 years. Now that it's coming to light, hopefully regulation will change, banks will get more comfortable with this, and then we can get people back to work and actually producing for the American economy.
And to that point, we do see shifting, I would say maybe attitudes around cryptocurrency, but there is still a lot of hesitation and skepticism. We saw that in Washington, but maybe the tides are changing. But there's still, former SEC commissioners that are speaking to these very concerns that I think you are highlighting here. Listen to this soundbite and we'll get your reaction on the other side.
Crypto is a scourge. It's not something that you want in your society. It has no utility. It's just pure speculation. Remember, there's no balance sheet to crypto. There's no financial statements.
Stop the cap.
This guy's an idiot.
The whole concern there is that there's just no transparency. And to go even further, there are concerns that some say crypto is really just a vehicle for criminal acts, the black market.
All right, so there's no transparency as in like you don't know who owns the wallet until you do. Okay, yes, but you can realistically trace every transaction throughout the blockchain going in and out to any wallet ever created. Like I don't understand.
What do you say to that?
Stop it. This guy keeps
So
saying this stuff
stupid.
over and over again. The dollar doesn't have a balance sheet. The dollar doesn't have a financial statement. The Bitcoin blockchain
Yeah,
is
like what are you buying drugs with? The kid down the street on the corner selling, whatever he's selling. What are you buying that with? Fiat or Bitcoin? Most likely fiat, because you can't trace it.
a transparent ledger. I can know more about what happens on the Bitcoin network than with dollars. The dollar is used much more for criminal activity, money laundering, terrorist financing, etc. If criminals want to conduct crimes, they do not want to have their fingers on a keyboard because it's easier for the police to come and find them. And so these people keep saying this stuff. They sound ridiculous because they don't understand how the technology actually works. If you go talk to law enforcement, would they rather have a criminal with a bag of cash or with Bitcoin? They'll take Bitcoin all day long.
100%.
Criminals are learning to not use Bitcoin for crimes because they get caught.
Yeah, because the blockchain technology, probably the transparency. Quickly, we're joking about NASDAQ 20,000. CPI this morning fuels all the optimism that somehow we think that even though inflation is going sideways instead of down, that the Federal Reserve is still cutting next week. What do you make?
Look, the Federal Reserve has no choice. They broke the financial markets in the global financial crisis. The younger generation realizes buy stocks. They have to cut rates and they have to print money. They're going to keep doing that. Risk has been removed from the market. There can be short-term downturns in stock prices, but over the long run, if you buy stocks and you hold them, they're going to have to push asset prices higher. Bitcoin's a big winner from that. Stocks will be a big winner from that. And the Federal Reserve just has no choice. And so all the bears who are yelling and screaming about recessions and bear markets and all this stuff, the Federal Reserve has outlawed all of that.
Before we lose you today, I want to ask you a little bit about the big story, the United Healthcare CEO murder suspect. There's a lot of talk about what this guy represents. Is he fighting the system? Is he some hero to people on the left? How do you understand his actions? You've got a really interesting take, and I think because you're so tuned into that generation, you can help us understand like how they think and how they ought to be thinking about this.
Yeah, look, obviously America is made up of 300+ million people, and so there's going to be all kinds of different opinions about that. My personal view is that if you murder someone, you're not a hero, right? You are a criminal, and you should be punished for doing that. But what I think is a story that nobody is talking about is if you actually have a problem with the insurance companies, right? You think that's his motive. The better thing to do is rather than ruin the life and take the life of the CEO and then ruin your own life, instead go compete in the marketplace. If you think that the insurance companies are bad companies, if they are gouging people, if they are not allowing care, then go build a better insurance company. And capitalism is what America was built on. There's a free market of competition that is allowed. And so the better thing to do, if you really want to help people, shooting the CEO of the insurance company does not help anybody. It's not, nothing is going to change. But if you build the best insurance company that is able to go and actually provide that service to individual patients, you have a much, much bigger impact.
Well, and let's not forget, I mean, there are problems in that space. Like if you want to build the better insurance company, you're facing so much regulation from the government right now, it's hard to do that. But that larger point I love, which is be a creator, right? Capitalism allows you to be a creative disruptor, not a violent disruptor. And we seem to have lost that distinction among our younger generations right now. We've got to recover that faster and faster.
You could argue that he, of anyone, had the opportunity to do that. He had the money and he had the education, and he chose this route. Anthony Pompliano, always need more time with you. Thank you.
Interesting. Shout out to Anthony Pomp for that. That was great. All right, Goldman Sachs, McDermott, on whether major multinationals would add Bitcoin to their balance sheet. There we go.
My next guest heads digital asset strategy at one of the world's top investment banks and says appetite for crypto-linked products from institutional investors will only grow in the coming year. For more on the trends he sees, Matthew McDermott is with us. He's head of digital assets at Goldman Sachs, and it's great to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
So the reason, not to be, the reason why I'm so curious about this is so we retail people can front run all the institutional demand that might be coming. So, it was actually one of the ways that I think turned a lot of the public onto crypto who weren't already believers was when they realized a few years back the institutions were going to start really getting involved in a big way. Yeah. So has that already happened, or is there a lot more still to come?
I think there's a lot more still to come. I mean, I've actually been running the digital asset business at Goldman for 5 years nearly now. And so we've seen, a couple of, this is almost like the second cycle. And the first I would say real bull run that I was involved in was very much retail driven. And what we've seen over the following 2 or 3 years is actually a lot more regulatory clarity across the globe. And as a byproduct of that, it's given confidence to the institutions to invest and start to build out, their digital asset.
What kind of regulatory clarity are you talking about? Because a lot of people still think, well, once we finally have this in the U.S., I mean, obviously it hasn't kept us from Bitcoin 100K, a lot of institutions, but for instance, could we see truly a lot of major multinationals putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet and that kind of thing?
I think it's conceivable, yes. And I think as we've started to see, over the last year and a half, a lot more clarity, probably outside of the U.S. I think there's obviously been a big spike in the valuations across the whole crypto suite, as we've seen since the US presidential elections. That obviously is driven by what we expect will be probably a more favorable regulatory backdrop, and that gives confidence to the institutions more broadly.
What was your aha moment was it for Bitcoin specifically or crypto as an asset class where you felt like, hey, there's something here that's really going to create value? Because there are still a lot of people arguing that the US should not enshrine this in any way, that it's a waste of capital, counterproductive, harmful even.
Yeah, I think as a firm, we're obviously driven by client demand. And if you look at what we're able to do today, we're very active in the cash-settled derivatives, options, ETFs. And that's where we've seen, clients, particularly from an institutional slant, become more active. Oh. And so for us, I think that has been, I think the realization beginning of the year with the ETF approvals, that to me was a real catalyst. And then if you've seen the performance over the last 9 to 10 months has been phenomenal. I mean, you're over 100 billion now in terms of outstanding Bitcoin ETFs. Wow. ETH have started to get a bit more momentum. And that's, a mixture of retail, but increasingly more institutions. And if you actually look at the trading ecosystem, you're starting to see more products evolve, which actually are more user-friendly from an institutional perspective.
So going into 2025, what kind of products should we expect on that front?
Yeah, I think a continuum of what we've seen. I mean, I think, the ETF is a very good, solid, indicator of people's appetite for this space. As I said, it's grown exponentially this year. It gets investor protections. And so therefore, people are getting confidence. And as you start to see more institutions come in, I'd expect it to be traded like other asset classes. Structured products and things like that.
And so, in other words, more derivatives based on...
Well, potentially like structured notes. And I think as you start to see the ecosystem build out, you'll see clients have demand for different types of products, as they do for any other asset class. 100%. So I don't think it'd be any different. So.
A lot of people say, I want my risk capped in some way. To know the upside, to know the downside, whether others are happy. Does the nature of this vary in any way because so many retail players say, and I know people who have made considerable amounts of money on this, and they could say, I'm holding it forever. I'm not selling it. I'm not doing much with it. But maybe they need to think about how to be able to tap that, literally live off of it if they want to.
As I said, I think the marketplace will evolve, and I think the ability to generate, in a very orderly way, leverage potentially on your holdings, pursuant to how it manifests itself across the institutional marketplace today, I think in a very rational way, I think is positive. There are a lot of maximalists out there who want to hold, but I think, as I say, the product suite will evolve, and you'll just see more institutions leverage that.
And what is the significance of spinning off the digital asset platform, the DApp, I guess it's literally called? What is that meant to offer to clients?
That's what it's, when we look at the digital asset business at Goldman Sachs, you've got a crypto leg to the business, but then you've got a big focus on tokenization. So this is where you tokenize financial instruments. And you've started to see a lot of momentum build across, again, the institutional landscape.
I still don't understand that one. I mean, is the idea that, because you can trade financial instruments now, why do you need to tokenize that?
Well, a lot of it's about improving the efficiencies of the market. So the ability, for example, to settle within, a minute.
Instantaneously, yeah.
And it's just the ability to be more precise in the use of liquidity and capital. And also, over time, to actually proliferate products to a broader cross-section of the market. And so the digital asset platform that we had a recent announcement on, that is something that we've actually been developing, within Goldman. And as we look to develop and further enhance its capabilities, we're looking to actually potentially spin that out.
Very interesting.
Very, very interesting. All right, let's see. I'm actually going to skip this because who cares what we're expecting in the next week's Fed meeting. I guess we'll cover that next week. All right, Supreme Court rejects NVIDIA's appeal of investor lawsuit tied to crypto mining. Let's see what they got to say over here. That's kind of interesting title.
Today, Bitcoin reclaims $100,000. And a day after Microsoft shareholders voted against adding Bitcoin to its balance sheet, Gracie Chen of BitGet
God, what is that freaking Pearson noise? You guys hear that?
Explains why she says the practice could be a time bomb for the largest corporate shareholder of Bitcoin, MicroStrategy.
God, it's like some Men in Black shit zapping our eardrums.
Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Katie Tarasov. Crypto markets on the rise this morning. As of noon Eastern, Bitcoin jumped 4.5%, crossing back above the $100,000 level. XRP also made big moves, surging 15% after a pause from last week's rally, which brought the token near $3. This move follows Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse sharing on X last night that New York state regulators approved the firm's new stablecoin, RLUSD.
Ugh.
Okay, a quick update on a story we've been watching. The Supreme Court has tossed a case connected to NVIDIA's sales to crypto miners. For background, a group of shareholders argued that NVIDIA engaged in securities fraud. The claim, the chipmaker misled investors about how much of its sales came from the volatile crypto market back in 2017 and 2018. After a lower court allowed the lawsuit to proceed, NVIDIA appealed to escalate the case to the Supreme Court. Well, this morning, SCOTUS dismissed that appeal, leaving the lower court's ruling to stand. An NVIDIA spokesperson told CNBC that the company would have preferred a decision on the merits affirming the trial court's dismissal of the case, but that it's fully prepared to continue its defense. As of noon Eastern, shares of the stock were up nearly 2.5%. All right, let's jump to our main story. MicroStrategy has been among the biggest beneficiaries of Bitcoin's monster year-end rally. The largest corporate holder of Bitcoin bought its stash at an average price of around $60,000 and isn't slowing down. Executive Chairman Michael Saylor has announced a number of new Bitcoin buys to the tune of billions of dollars. But just this week, Gracie Chen, the CEO of crypto exchange BitGet, has voiced concern about the ballooning Bitcoin reserve, saying it could be a time bomb if prices were to crater like they did at the end of 2022. That letter came just as Microsoft shareholders considered adding Bitcoin to the tech giant's balance sheet. That proposal was rejected. Crypto World's Mackenzie Sigalos spoke to Gracie Chen about her article and the rising trend of corporations considering Bitcoin for its reserves.
Gracie, thank you so much for being here. So you penned this article calling MicroStrategy a time bomb based on its buying spree of huge sums of Bitcoin as a reserve asset. Now, lay out why you think that this risk exists for MicroStrategy. Is it simply because of how much Bitcoin they're holding or because of something specific to their business, such as how they're buying it using debt?
Yeah, I think it's both, but the major risk I want to highlight here is the concentration risk. So first of all, I want to emphasize that the fact that MicroStrategy is a buyer and holder for the long run since August 2020. It's actually a positive thing for crypto industry. We all love holders. We also love big companies like MicroStrategy, which is listed on the US market and is very, very bullish on Bitcoin in general. However, the risk that we think exists and probably a lot of people underestimated is that, first of all, MicroStrategy owns more than 2% of the total supply. And this is also influencing the decisions of other institutional investors who follow the buy when MicroStrategy buy strategy and sell. They may sell when MicroStrategy sells. So this is what I mean by a very strong concentration risks. And we've already seen that coming and happening already. So if you look at the historical correlation between some crypto-related announcement or actions by MicroStrategy, it's actually highly volatile and also has a strong correlation with the Bitcoin price. So a slowdown or like the current not slow down, but I think they just announced another round of continued Bitcoin purchase. This can cause very broad cryptocurrency market to react to their action. And also keep in mind two things. Number one, it's not just MicroStrategy. It's also those institutional investors who are following them that we mentioned. And number two, that 2% is not just 2% of total supply. It's probably, much more than 2%, probably 5% of the circulating, because there are lots of Bitcoin which are dormant or so-called lost Bitcoin in early days. So I think I do have that data, like about 5% are in Satoshi Nakamoto's wallet, which have never moved, and another 15% or 16% are so-called lost Bitcoin. At least this is the data in early 2024. So this 2% of MicroStrategy's holding is actually more than 2% in terms, if you look at the circulating Bitcoin.
And MicroStrategy has become among the largest holders of Bitcoin, as you were just pointing out, roughly 2% of the world's circulation. And that's been seen for years as a benefit to the company and for investors who want exposure to Bitcoin through the company as a proxy. So is the benefit for MicroStrategy diminishing, though, as more people have more ways to buy Bitcoin through ETFs, more exchanges like your company, et cetera?
I would say it's probably still a very important role. Whether it's diminishing depends on the exact investor's profile they're looking at. For example, if you look at the traditional financial industry, and if you compare, for example, centralized exchanges like us versus the spot ETF, Bitcoin spot ETF users, they're actually very different group of people. And then if you look at MicroStrategy, I think there are probably more overlaps between MicroStrategy's investors versus the Bitcoin spot ETFs investors. But when Bitcoin spot ETF is highly regulated and also highly influenced, very much like pegged to Bitcoin in a way, it's also different that MicroStrategy has very strong leverage. We did a comparison in terms of their book value of the equity versus MicroStrategy's current market value. There's actually a 4 times difference. So that's what I mean by highly leveraged. So the user's risk profile, at least even if it's just one user, when they are investing in Bitcoin spot ETF and MicroStrategy, either convertible bonds or equity, what they are taking in terms of risk, or at least the risk tolerance level, can be very different. So this, I want to highlight that MicroStrategy is highly leveraged.
I'm going to stop there, if that's okay. I feel like I just watched a Panda video. I came away with nothing. I don't know what just happened. I have no idea what just happened. The whole thing was a mess. That's exactly how I feel after I watch Panda. All right, let's see how Bitcoin has been hijacked by intelligence agencies. Let's see what this guy has to say. This dude on the right here that had like an interview with Tucker Carlson. I forget his name. I don't know much about him, but I know he's like screwed for like tax evasion and shit. So let's see what this is all about over on Swan Bitcoin.
Way back when the vast majority of the world hadn't even heard of Bitcoin yet, the CIA was looking into it. Through the censorship and the propaganda, they've literally hijacked Bitcoin.
Early Bitcoin proponent turned villain Roger Ver was on Tucker Carlson yesterday talking about his belief that the original vision of Bitcoin has been hijacked by intelligence agencies. Today we dive into the truth behind these claims and get to the bottom of the years-old debate over Bitcoin's block size, decentralization, privacy, and whether we should all be buying things with our Bitcoin instead of saving in it. Is Bitcoin a competitor for the US dollar, gold, or both?
It's so annoying. But yeah, that guy's getting like extradited back to the US because I guess he bought Bitcoin when it was like under a penny or around a penny or something per coin. And actually maybe it was under $1 a coin, something like that. Anyways, he has a shit ton, right? And he didn't pay tax on any of it. And he left the country. And he hasn't been a citizen for like 15 years or something, but they're pulling him back.
Early Bitcoin investor and libertarian Roger Ver was on Tucker Carlson yesterday, and he spread some very unfortunate FUD about Bitcoin to Carlson's millions of viewers. And I'm here to set the record straight. Now, Ver is being extradited back to the US on charges of tax evasion, and he took the opportunity on Carlson to rehash old propaganda he spread during the Bitcoin block size war in 2017. The block size war, for those that don't know...
Wait, he's the guy that started Bitcoin Cash? Is he really? Nice. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Was a major debate within the Bitcoin community between 2015 and 2017 over how to scale Bitcoin. One side, the large blockers, the side that Ver was on, wanted to increase the block size limit to allow more transactions per block, aiming for faster and cheaper payments on the base layer. The other side, the small blockers, argued that increasing the block size would harm decentralization by making it harder for regular users to run full nodes, leading to centralization. The dispute culminated in a contentious fork, creating Bitcoin Cash with larger block sizes, which Ver still supports and advocates for today, while Bitcoin retained the original smaller block size as Satoshi originally intended. The small block approach prioritized long-term security and decentralization, relying on second-layer solutions like the Lightning Network for scaling. The war underscored the importance of Bitcoin's design trade-offs and community consensus. Now, with that out of the way, let's watch a clip of Roger Ver on Tucker Carlson, where he outlines his theory that the original vision of Bitcoin was hijacked by nefarious actors and intelligence agencies. Now, I'll leave the whole clip to play and give my thoughts and commentary on the back end.
There was no doubt in my mind whatsoever that people were going to start using Bitcoin as money. And so I thought, oh, this is every libertarian's dream come true. Suddenly now we're going to have a choice. And I'm not against the US dollar or the yen or the euro. I'm pro-choice. I think people should be able to choose what form of money they want to use. And whether it's the dollar, the euro, the yen, or Bitcoin, or some other cryptocurrency out there, I think people deserve the right to have that choice. And I want to see that enabled. And so when Bitcoin came along, the first step was for me to buy a bunch of Bitcoin. I bought my first Bitcoin when they were less than $1 each. And then my business, memorydealers.com, became the first established business in the entire world to start accepting Bitcoin for payments. And we started advertising, we accept Bitcoin. Not a single customer paid us initially in Bitcoin, but it got worldwide media attention for the first time. And I remember it was in June of 2011. And in the course of 2, maybe 3 weeks, the price of Bitcoin went from around $3 a Bitcoin to $30 a Bitcoin. And that was the first time in the history of Bitcoin up to that point in which it started to get some worldwide media attention. And what an interesting thing happened. So the main discussion forum where everybody up to that point was talking about Bitcoin was a website called bitcointalk.org. And suddenly...
Is he talking too fast for you? I'll slow it down. Sorry. All right, let's spit up.
When it was getting some media attention around the world and international newspapers, this forum that had worked wonderfully up to that point where people could discuss things became flooded with bots, just posting comments that were just, fluff and made literally, they DDoSed the forum to the point that it was unusable. And anybody that came there because they heard about Bitcoin in the media that week, they weren't able to learn about it because there was just so many posts saying, buy, sell, oh no, and just saying nothing of any substance whatsoever. So somebody out there literally made the forum unusable as early as 2011. And around that same time, we already know that the CIA was interested interested in Bitcoin because they're asking different Bitcoin developers to, hey, can you explain Bitcoin to us? So way back when the vast majority of the world hadn't even heard of Bitcoin yet, the CIA was looking into it, and somebody was actively preventing it from spreading as quickly as it otherwise could have by shutting down the forum effectively when so many new people were coming to Bitcoin to learn about it for the first time. And in the early days, everybody knew, though, Bitcoin was supposed to be money for the world. Bitcoin was supposed to be used for payments as peer-to-peer cash for the world. And that's how people were using it. And, I was doing payroll in it, and I was paying my suppliers overseas. I hosted the first Bitcoin meetup ever in China about it. Like, I was really doing my best to spread this all over the world, including, paying for national radio ads for it. Like, it was really, really spreading. But then later, in, I believe, 2012, a person using the name John Dillon, who claimed to work for intelligence, spent more than $10,000, I forget the exact amount, but a significant sum of money to start producing propaganda to trick people into thinking that by keeping the blocks on Bitcoin small, it would make it more decentralized. And literally the exact opposite of the truth, the exact opposite of the way Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, designed it and promoted it, and the exact opposite of the way that people were using it. And nobody believed the propaganda initially. But then later, this giant wave of censorship took place. Anonymous people that nobody knows their real names managed to get control of all the main discussion platforms for Bitcoin. And then suddenly, one day overnight, nobody was even allowed to advocate for Bitcoin being used as money. And they censored anybody that tried to do that. And initially, everybody saw through it. But then everybody that came to Bitcoin after the censorship began, they just started believing it. And today, the main people that are out there promoting Bitcoin, they literally say, oh, Bitcoin shouldn't compete with the US dollar. Bitcoin, you shouldn't use it as money. You shouldn't use it to pay for things. Like, Bitcoin is just a digital asset. You should just hold it. And it's the exact opposite. They've through the censorship and the propaganda, they've literally hijacked Bitcoin. And I literally wrote an entire book about it. You can find more at hijackingbitcoin.com. It's available on Amazon and everywhere else. And lo and behold, just a couple of weeks after the book is published, I get arrested, and now I'm facing 109 years in federal prison for having exposed the way in which Bitcoin was hijacked. And you
109 years in prison. You better sleep with your ass against the wall.
You can think all day long that the new version of Bitcoin that people are promoting is better. Okay, but you can't admit that it wasn't hijacked. And luckily now we have thousands of different cryptocurrencies, and I support competition, right? I was never a Bitcoin maximalist or any other cryptocurrency maximalist. I'm a utilitarian freedom maximalist. Whatever gives the most utility and is the most useful for the most people around the world to improve their lives and create more economic freedom that leads to more economic growth, that's what I want to be out there and promote to the world.
Now, before I get into the details of why Ver's vision for Bitcoin has been economic...
This is the... Oh, I can't pull this up. But this book's $18, $20. Hijacking Bitcoin. That's what it's called.
Flawed from the beginning, I like to unpack the nonsense in the narrative he spins. His first piece of evidence that Bitcoin has been hijacked is that after the swift run-up in price from $1 to $30 per coin in the spring of 2011, the Bitcoin talk forum that was primarily used by early developers became mysteriously flooded by bots. He later makes the insinuation that it was the CIA who made the forum unusable. Now, I'm going to use Occam's razor for this one, which says that the simplest explanation is often the correct one. Unless Ver has evidence that someone nefarious purposefully flooded the original Bitcoin talk forum with spam in order to stop the flow of information about the technology, the simplest explanation is right out in the open. As he said himself, Bitcoin was getting mainstream media attention for the first time with its big run-up in price, and that would naturally bring about opportunists, gamblers, and scammers to flood the forums. Which is not any different than today. I'm sure many of you can see the whack-a-mole situation we have in our comments on YouTube with scam bots promoting random crypto pump and dumps trying to take advantage of new unsuspecting investors. Public service announcement, please ignore the scam comments that we're not able to manually delete fast enough. Roger goes on to insinuate that the only reason the big blockers like himself lost the block size war was because of a broad censorship and propaganda campaign that tricked everyone into believing small blocks were better and integral for the network's decentralization. He also claims that this goes against Satoshi's original vision and design, which is easy to debunk since the Bitcoin we use today uses smaller blocks as Satoshi originally designed and intended. Ver has been pushing this narrative since he was a huge proponent of big blocks in 2017 and was one of the main people responsible for the contentious hard forks that caused the creation of Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, and others, which all continued to swiftly trend to zero in Bitcoin terms. The fact is that Roger's vision for Bitcoin was always economically flawed, and he has never gotten over the fact that the majority of Bitcoin owners rejected his vision as flawed. The free market that he claims to be a huge proponent of worked against him, and he's still salty about it. The fundamental flaw in Ver's economic vision is that he assumes that money must be primarily a medium of exchange. He doesn't acknowledge that all market-based monies must evolve and monetize through a store of value phase first, before they can be suitable as a medium of exchange. Quoting the excellent essay from 2018, The Bullish Case for Bitcoin by Vijay Boyapati, money throughout history always evolved in the following 4 stages: collectible, store of value, medium of exchange, and finally, unit of account. Bitcoin is still in the early stages of being widely accepted as a viable and superior store of value. Once it's reached a much higher price level closer to its true value, only then will it become more suitable as a medium of exchange and unit of account. This is true for the simple reason that people can clearly see the opportunity cost of spending their Bitcoin when it makes a huge leap up in value every couple of years. It makes much more sense to save in it during this phase of its monetization than it is to use it as a medium of exchange or to price other goods in it as a unit of account. On top of the flawed economic lens in which he viewed Bitcoin, Ver allied himself with some of the worst scammers in the space, namely Fake Toshi or Craig Wright, which he now publicly regrets. Ver is now trying to reignite his propaganda campaign from 2017 by claiming his arrest is somehow related to this grand conspiracy against Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. My personal view is that Ver was just too early to Bitcoin and got impatient with how slow the natural monetization process was going. Watching the whole interview shows how disgruntled and angry he is at governments and their mismanagement of money. And in that, I can agree with him. But instead of jumping on board, advocating for it, and letting the natural monetization process take place, he attempted to strong-arm it into going quicker without taking into account the negative consequences. The fact that Bitcoin isn't yet used widely as a medium of exchange isn't some grand conspiracy by the CIA to trick people into a false narrative and thus save the US dollar. As I've said in previous videos, Bitcoin is a Trojan horse for a better economic system. The fact that banks, institutions, corporations, and now even governments are adopting it just further proves that this theory is unfolding right before our very eyes. They are wheeling the horse right through the gates of Troy as we speak. And once Bitcoin continues to rise exponentially in value, people who see their wealth sway primarily in Bitcoin will begin to want to spend it on goods and services more and more. Money is just a means to an end, and not an end unto itself. This already happens as Bitcoin continues to rise. More and more long-term holders who have seen their net worth explode and weigh heavily in Bitcoin become sellers to fund their lifestyles. This also has a natural distribution effect, spreading the Bitcoin out from few large holders to many new savers. As Bitcoin's value increases, layered scaling solutions will continue to get better, which allow for faster, cheaper, and more private transactions to take place. Now, there's a big proponent of Bitcoiners that are what I will call accelerationists. They tend to be very angry with the status quo and the mismanagement of money by governments and central banks. And trust me, I get it. I spent a large part of the early stages of my Bitcoin journey with this same anger. My advice to those people is to accept the things that you can't change and focus on what you can control in your life. Buying, educating, and evangelizing the superiority of Bitcoin as money for humanity to those around you is a good thing. But we must realize that this massive change in the way we interact as humans will not happen overnight. It's a process, and Bitcoin's open and transparent nature means we can't stop the likes of BlackRock or the US government from adopting it. All we can do is help advance and develop new tools to improve the ecosystem and educate others on why a world with Bitcoin as its money is more ethical and supports individual human flourishing. So don't be like Roger Ver.
He's not wrong.
Don't attempt to play God and force the system to change. Use the gift that is Bitcoin, a more ethical and fair form of money, to continue to educate those you love about it and let the dominoes fall where they fall. Try to spend.
All right. Shout out to Swan Bitcoin for this. He usually talks about the exchange at the end, but if you guys are interested, yeah, Swan Bitcoin, links in the description. Go check him out. This he makes some good videos actually. Pretty happy to watch them. All right, let's see what Altcoin Daily has to say today. Let's do it.
So no, I have no interest.
This guy drives me nuts.
In you taking my money, taxpayer money, and giving it to crypto bros because they were your donors. No interest at all. That's a robbery. But there is something we can do right now, which is not buy $100 billion of crypto for no goddamn reason.
Does anybody like this guy? Anybody? This guy's a dank. He's a fucking dink. You can't even.
They might as well call it, we think you're stupid, Bill.
Cenk Uygur, founder and host of The Young Turks, which has a massive audience. It's a progressive news channel watched by millions.
6 million people listen to this guy? Get the fuck out of here. What? I can't even get more than 40 likes because I don't have tits. Why do people listen to this guy? Because he's got tits? Is that why? Anybody tell me? Is that why? I've heard this guy talk like 100 times and he always gets fucking mad and his points never make any like... they don't make any sense.
Millions of people around the world.
How dare you? Okay.
Just did a takedown of Bitcoin, specifically the United States Bitcoin bill.
The proposal that I have and that President Trump has discussed about a strategic Bitcoin reserve or strategic Bitcoin stockpile.
And Cenk continues to make this a Republican versus Democrat issue when it doesn't have to be.
And on top of all the problems the American people have, now you got to go buy crypto on behalf of super rich people? No. And if you wanted to pay down the debt.
Let me share with you this full clip. And for the record, I like.
Is he related to Peter Schiff?
Cenk's show, but he's wrong about Bitcoin, and I'm going to prove it to you.
They think we're stupid.
Yeah, that's exactly what that proposal is.
But do not think this is not a coordinated attack on Bitcoin. I mean, 60 Minutes shared this with their audience this last week.
Crypto is a scourge. It's not something that you want in your society. It has no utility. It's just pure speculation. Remember, there's no balance sheet to crypto. There's no financial statements.
You're talking about SEC filings. There's no public disclosure mandate.
Exactly.
Well, that's because Bitcoin's not a company, it's a commodity. And that was former SEC official, a guy that has authority, John Reed Stark, educating the 60 Minutes audience why Bitcoin's bad.
But the other part that people don't really talk about enough are the dire externalities that are enabled by crypto.
What do you mean?
Every single crime you can conceive of is...
For real? For real. Because the dollar wasn't used for anything before Bitcoin. Like, what?
Easier to do now because of crypto, especially ransomware, human sanctions evasion, money laundering.
Bro.
North Korea is financing their nuclear weapons program using crypto.
And somebody sent out the message to keep the price low, or attempt to keep the price low, as this was also on MSNBC just yesterday.
And in the new Congress, a Senate Republican, I want you to please pay attention to this. I know you want to tune out, but please don't. They plan to propose a bill that would sell off some of the Federal Reserve's gold to buy Bitcoin. Every crime you can think of is exponentially easier because of crypto.
So in the lead up to Trump's inauguration, everybody is seemingly going after this bill. The bill does propose buying over 1 million Bitcoin over the next 5 years.
Let me keep it.
You know what? My real concern is what if like Biden and the administration now wants to dump Bitcoin just to be spiteful before he gets into office? Because that could happen. That could happen. That's the only thing that makes me nervous about it.
Explaining why this is a disastrous idea.
And let me share with you Cenk Uygur and
by Bitcoin being like the center of all this, like that's really like that's a concern. If they dump just to be spiteful before he gets in, yeah, I'd buy the dip, but just in general, you know what I mean? Like it's one last fuck you before he comes into office, you know what I mean?
The Young Turks clip, but just to put everybody on the same page so we all understand what this bill entails, here's Cynthia Loomis's 7-point plan outlined in the Bitcoin Act of 2024. This is currently introduced to the Senate, then has to pass the House, and then it goes to the President before it becomes law. So we are on the first step. But number 1, establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This establishes a decentralized network of secure Bitcoin storage facilities distributed across the US. This one is sort of a no-brainer because we already have the Bitcoin due to DOJ confiscations. This just says let's store it because we think it's valuable. Bitcoin purchase program used the Treasury to purchase over 200,000 Bitcoins per year for 5 years. 1 million BTC will be bought in total and held for a minimum of 20 years.
But if you don't dump it there, it's going to crash later.
This one is the most contentious. Cenk will tell you that. The other parts of the act are as followed. Proof of reserves system, basically an audit. Publish quarterly reports audited by independent third parties, and cryptographic attestation.
I need to take that soundbite. That was great.
Consolidate current holdings. All Bitcoin held by other agencies be transferred to the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. That's an easy one. Voluntary state participation. States can participate voluntarily by depositing to/withdrawing from segregated accounts. Okay, again, voluntary, not a big issue. Offsetting costs. The first $6 billion of the Federal Reserve's net earnings each year will go to the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. So I think number 6 and number 2, actually using money to buy Bitcoin, I think that's sort of the big issues. And then protect Bitcoin property rights. Affirm rights of self-custody, meaning U.S. government can't seize or confiscate lawfully owned Bitcoin. Understanding all that, it took us 2 minutes, 1 minute really, to read this entire thing. What does Cenk think of the bill?
So this is a robbery, and we have to stop it. So and there could be a huge difference between right-wing leaders and right-wing voters. And so we'll see how that plays out. But let me keep explaining why this is a disastrous idea. First of all, as Anna pointed out, their excuse for, this is going to help us pay down the debt, is totally and utterly nonsensical. We have to take money out of all of our pockets, $100 billion worth, to buy crypto for the government.
And first off, that's not true. We do not have to spend any new taxpayer dollars. The Cynthia Loomis proposal would sell a fraction of the government's giant gold stash to buy the Bitcoin, won't cost taxpayers a dime.
We wouldn't have to spend any new dollars. We have reserves at our 12 Federal Reserve banks, including gold certificates that could be converted to current fair market value. They're held at their 1970s value on the books, and then sell them into Bitcoin. That way, we wouldn't have to use any new dollars.
And by the way, US taxpayers would probably thank you for that in the long run. This is how much Bitcoin is appreciating versus gold. Bitcoin's outperforming gold. That's going to increase the US government's purchasing power over time.
And who are they going to buy it from? The people who currently hold lots of crypto. And you're going to be shocked to find out, my guess is that the first people who cash out are donors to Donald Trump, okay? Because they're holding giant
this guy, oh my God,
amounts of crypto. And as Chris explained there, selling it is really problematic because once you start selling it, it starts deflating.
Actually, Cenk, the big issue.
What about like the 10 million that like XRP sent to, what's it called? Kamala Harris. Like, dude, there's crypto donors on both sides of the fence. Get the fuck out of here.
Issue right now is buying the Bitcoin, not selling the Bitcoin, because this is how much new Bitcoin is mined into existence every month. And this is the amount of demand pressure every month from just the US Bitcoin ETFs, Marathon Digital, and MicroStrategy. So you could either mine the Bitcoin and get some of this, where you're going to have to buy the Bitcoin from previous holders. That's just how it works. And I also understand that might be confusing because Bitcoin is the very first hard asset commodity in human history that as demand increases, we can't just make more of it.
One other thing I will say about Bitcoin, I think people don't understand, and this is part of the innovation that's really important. Think about Bitcoin's a commodity, right? The SEC said it's a commodity. It is a commodity. One coin's the same as the next. Okay, fine. Every commodity in the world, if you increase its price, the supply goes up. If gold went to 10,000 tomorrow, we'd mine more gold. If corn went up, if oil went to $300 a barrel, we'd drill for more oil. You would get more, higher price, you would get more. No matter where the price of Bitcoin goes, the issuance schedule is set. There's not going to be any more.
So the more you sell, the more it deflates in value. And so they've got to find a way to sell a significant amount of crypto. We're not talking about the average crypto holder, right? You guys are going to be left holding the bag anyway. We're talking about the big guys here.
Well, Cenk, I disagree. Actually, the little guys aren't going to be the ones holding the bag because for the first 13, 14 years of Bitcoin's existence, only little guys and computer nerds were buying. Since Bitcoin's inception, this has been a retail-driven entity. Institutions actually weren't legally able to get involved since right here. But anyway, you were saying the government does have to buy this Bitcoin from somewhere.
So if on the other hand, the government comes and gives them this giant gift of, I will buy $100 billion of your crypto, number one, they're going to get the cash out in a way that they couldn't before and turn their fake money into real money. And then secondly, when the government says we're going to buy $100 billion of crypto, you know what happens? The crypto price goes up. Now, again, if you're holding crypto, maybe you take advantage and then you dump it right at the same time, if you can, right? But if you don't dump it there, it's going to crash later.
To be fair, it's actually the purchasing power of the US dollar that's crashing. Altcoin Daily on Instagram, link down below. We've shared this with you.
Because it was artificially inflated by the government buying $100 billion worth of crypto for no reason.
Yep.
And the bottom line of it, and the most important part, guys, is they're taking our money, taxpayer money, and giving it to the crypto guys. Why do you think that the crypto guys were doing all of these ads in political spending, right? Not only do they support Republicans, they also supported corporate Democrats in primaries against progressives.
Hey, I like a lot of progressive candidates, but maybe it's because progressive channels like yours aren't educating the masses on why something like Bitcoin could be valuable. In this last election in the House, we got over 278 pro-crypto candidates elected. That's well enough for a simple majority if any/when any vote takes place. Also 20 pro-crypto candidates elected in the Senate. This tells you that much like the internet back in 1999, it doesn't have to be politicized. Both Democrats and Republicans can like crypto. And also just like the internet, Bitcoin's not going away. It's a technology.
So no, I have no interest in you taking my money, taxpayer money, and giving it to crypto bros because they were your donors. No interest at all. That's a robbery.
Cenk, I encourage you to do a little bit more research. I actually want to invite you on Altcoin Daily and we can talk about it. Open, public conversation, or happy to come on your channel, whatever you're most comfortable with. Altcoin Daily does speak to an audience of over 1.53 million subscribers here on YouTube, another 1.7 million on X. So if you've made it this far in today's video, click subscribe.
All right. Just gonna show a trading platform after this, but that guy is just so hell-bent on Trump winning that he just everything else clouds his judgment. It doesn't even fucking matter. It's ridiculous. Anyways, recap segment of things. I gotta get out of here. Kids need to get to school. All right, Bitcoin, $100,792. Looks amazing. Ethereum, we're gonna crack 4K today again. Let's see, 39.54. We got XRP at $2.43, Solana at $231. We got Sui up almost 25% today to $4.72. ADA over here $1.15, 6.89% up on the day. All right, let's see. We got Uniswap up 17% to $18.78. Link is almost 20% up, 19 to be exact, 27.84. Aave is up 35%. Jesus, $376. Looks great. Caspa over 17 cents, up 6% today, almost 7%. LTC $122, up 7.5% or so. Let's see, Near Protocol should be doing well this run, 6.58% up, $7.13. Looks great. Crow, actually, I think Crow's gonna do fine because it is an exchange, crypto.com token, right? If they start advertising for like Super Bowl and shit, I think this one has a good chance to jump up. That's just my opinion. Actually, real quick, I'll look at Crow. What was this all-time high? Yeah, it's still 80% down. I think this is a fair gamble on this one. I need to get some more Crow today. Let's see. I should have got it yesterday. Definitely should have. Was it yesterday? No, it was 2 days ago. I don't know. It's still down on 7-day. I mean, yeah, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen here? It's up over the year. Man, Crow went way down, huh? Like 5 cents. Insane. Insane. But, dude, it shot up in the last bull run, 2021, in January. I don't know. Don't take financial advice from people on YouTube. All right, crypto bubbles. See anything change over here? Not really. Aave is the biggest earner of the day. Again, 35.6% up, $376. Flashbang Fear and Greed Index looking like an 83. This right here is the needle moved quite a bit from 74 to 83. So please just be mindful, right? When the needle moves this fast, typically we have some sort of, I don't know, won't be like an up forever scenario, but hey, this could be the beginning of a Santa rally, so who knows? Might just stay up here for a couple weeks. Who knows? Yeah, with that being said, guys, that's really it. That's it. I gotta get out of here. You guys have a happy and safe Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your day. You only got 1 more day or 2 more days till the weekend, and then we'll be able to enjoy it. But tomorrow's Friday, so stay positive. I'll catch you guys bright and early tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, peace out and have a good day. Hit the like button on the way out, please. Appreciate you. Later.
If she don't hawk to her, we don't talk to her.
Perfect.